Ron stuff. This has to do with the Ford 2011 Edge APIM replacement, and this is another module related to that particular take out and replace. Okay, I told you in the last episode that I had made an error and lifted up the center console piece too high, too much, something that I wound up I think breaking the little LED where it attaches to the console to light up the gear shifting pattern on the console. And initially I couldn't remember. I thought perhaps the light only moved depending on which gear you put it in. But no, all it does is light up a whole strip that's a separate segment of the console metal there that has manual and reverse, park, drive, those letters, and they're all lit up by the same LED. Okay, and I said I had broken that piece off and I could not find a place where it plugged back in, or I was now convinced it was broken off. So I went ahead and decided I would try to glue it back up in there. I found the right location where it went on the end of this lighted area, and I had trouble, and I got it to glue there, and then it seemed like it was okay, and then I started moving the shifter lever back and forth, and all of a sudden it's pulled loose again. So upon further examination, this is what I found, was that the LED light is not a cable. It has two wires. I think there is a connector back near the end of the console there. I think there's a connection though. I can't see it because I haven't taken the center console completely off. But nonetheless, from that connector, there's two separate wires come up to this LED piece. And when I got to looking at it, it was obvious that at some time, when it was probably installed, the wire was placed such that there was another piece added to the gear shift lever itself that basically just has a compression sort of fit wheel at the bottom, and I think it's probably to make you feel clicks on the transmission as you move it. There's little indents, and this rubbery ball compression thing fits in those, and you can feel it when you're in gear or not. It's just an indication, a latching indication. Anyway, one of the wires of the two going up to the LED had been routed through this piece that the shifter then moved back and forth above it, and that's why the piece had broken off. It wasn't necessarily that I had moved anything or moved it much. It was in fact when you moved the shift lever back and forth, it would catch that wire and pull it away from where it was supposed to be hooked to the top. And looking at the wire, what I found was interesting is about halfway up one of the wires, there had been a splice. I suspect that the shifter had eventually cut the wire, and it had been repaired and a piece of heat shrink tubing put over it. So I suspect it was a manufacturing defect. The wire was ran through that piece. The first owner of the car, I was the second, the first owner of the car moved the shift lever back and forth. It eventually cuts or breaks the wire. He has no light down here. Under warranty, Ford repairs it. And they did a sloppy job in repairing that. He left the one wire that still went in behind, left that there, but the other one they cut and soldered, hopefully soldered, and put a piece of heat shrink tubing over it. Well, that didn't solve my problem, because I still have one wire up and behind this metal strip, and looking at it, it appeared to have no electrical connections or anything like that to it, so I just gently unscrewed the top of it, moved it slightly out of the way, took the wire out from behind it, put it back in, made sure it was down, and again, at the bottom of it is sort of a springy sort of piece of metal bent with a ball at the bottom, if you will, that latches into detents in the shifting position. So what I'm trying to highlight out is if you do this sort of repair and you lift up that center console, you might try taking a peek underneath there to see if the wire going to that LED that sits on the end of the plastic piece that has the gear shift position letters on it, that it's not routed underneath of that springy sort of, it looks like this, springy sort of attachment. It's screwed up here into the face of the gear shift lever, and so the ball at the bottom is forced to, the spring works like this. Well, the wire it went through that loop, and it shouldn't have. That is, it was a manufacturing error. I can't, only way I can see it was happening is if that little piece that I'm talking about was screwed on, was put on after the wire was run, and they didn't pay attention, and there was an error there. So when you do this sort of thing, the center console, you might want to peek underneath there with a flashlight and make sure that wire, which goes to the LEDs, is not routed through this little spring thing. It needs to be completely separate, and it really won't move. If it's back toward the rear of the car, there's plenty of pigtail on it, and it should not get in the way of the shifting. If it's in that area, shifting is eventually going to cut that wire or break the LED off of the assembly, and you won't have lights. So that's what I discovered. Partially my fault for moving it too much, the center console up and out too much, but also it was a defect from manufacturing. What really bothers me is obviously it had broken, it had already been cut by the shifter lever, and whoever did the repair they didn't want to take that screw out of there and move that wire out of there. They thought, well, it doesn't make any difference. Well, it does make a difference. So make sure the wire is not going through this little piece of looping metal that's attached to the gear shift lever. That's it for now. This is Uncle Ron and stuff. This had to do with replacing the APIM on a 2011 Ford, and had to do with the center console, the flat piece that extends around the shift lever, and the broken lights, that little strip that shows the lever position from manual all the way to park, and the lights being out on that because I broke it off. This is part 3 of this section, and today is the 14th of July 2024.